वेलकम टू बियॉन्ड द ब्लू चैट्स। बियॉन्ड द ब्लू चैट्स में आपका स्वागत है। आज मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि मेरे साथ है रक्षिता शेखर। वेलकम रक्षिता, थैंक यू सो मच इस चैट पे आने के लिए। तो रक्षिता के बारे में थोड़ा सा आपको बताऊं। रक्षिता शेखर एक एजुकेटर है, कंसल्टेंट है डिसेबिलिटी राइट्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस और स्कूल्स के लिए। उन्होंने इंटेलेक्चुअल और डेवलपमेंटल डिसेबिलिटीज में मास्टर्स डिग्री किया है यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ कैंट यूके से, और बहुत सारे पेपर्स प्रेजेंट किए हैं नेशनल और इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंसेस में। प्लस उन्होंने इंटरनेशनल जर्नल ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी एंड इंक्लूसिव एजुकेशन में पेपर्स पब्लिश किए हैं। इसके अलावा वे 2 इंटरनेशनल एडवोकेसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस की मेंबर है, जिनका नाम है न्यूरोप्लास्टिक इंक और यूनिवर्सल डिजाइन फॉर लर्निंग स्पेशल इंटरेस्ट ग्रुप। रक्षिता खुद ऑटिस्टिक होते हुए दूसरे ऑटिस्टिक बच्चों के लिए और अडल्ट के लिए एडवोकेट करते हैं, और इनका जो माध्यम है वो पोएट्री, एसेज, टॉक्स और ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स है। और शी होप्स कि सोसाइटी को ये सिखाएं कि they can and must rely on disabled people to solve the world's biggest problems. And she dreams of a world where all live and let live. Rakshita, that is so beautiful. And thank you so much for being on this chat. I'm really, really happy that you took the time out to be here. Thank you so much. So to start with, आप मुझे अपने बचपन के बारे में और teenage years, growing up के बारे में बता सकते हैं? When did you realize you were different from the other kids? दूसरे बच्चों से आप अलग थे, ये आपको कब एहसास हुआ?
Okay, before I start on that, I just googled translated consultant and advocate. Consultant in Hindi is salahkar, and advocate in Hindi is advocacy. In Hindi is wakalat. Yeah.
तो रक्षिता एक क्या सलाहकार और वकालत करते हैं। ओके, फाइन।
Okay, so about my childhood, I was born preterm, and I supposedly had intermittent heartbeat, and I was very sensitive to touch and light. So the doctor had suggested, even as I was a newborn, not to use more than a 0-watt bulb. And surprisingly, even today, the only thing that I can handle is a 0-watt bulb. Anyway, even a bath, they couldn't give me, like, they couldn't pour water from a mug. They had to give me a sponge bath or wet their hands and just do this. If they ran their hand over me like this, I would startle. And so of course they were very worried. Initially, my mother especially was very observant about aspects. My father thought that I was normal, but you know what? I also think my father's autistic, and yeah, I am normal, but then that's another story.
रक्षिता, सॉरी, थोड़ा सा हिंदी में बात करेंगे क्योंकि आप जो बता रहे हैं वो बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट है। सो थोड़ा हिंदी इंग्लिश दोनों आप अगर आप मिक्स कर सकते हैं तो प्लीज।
Okay, damn, should I start from the beginning?
No, that's fine. That's fine. No
Okay.
problem.
And I just said damn.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. Okay, so हाँ, मेरे पापा इतनी चिंता नहीं करते थे, क्योंकि he was more like, हाँ मैं भी तो ऐसे था, and I am nowadays like, हाँ आप भी तो ऑटिस्टिक हो। So anyway, that's another story, एक और दिन के लिए। बट मेरी मम्मी मेरे को बहुत सारे डॉक्टर्स के पास लेके गई थी, एंड एट दैट टाइम इतना अवेयरनेस नहीं था ऑटिज्म के बारे में. सो व्हाट दे ऑल यूज्ड टू से इज बड़ी हो जाएगी, ठीक हो जाएगी. एंड आई रिमेम्बर like every week we used to go to the doctor and my mother used to cry, कब मेरी बच्ची बात करेगी, कब मेरी बच्ची बाकी लोगों के साथ खेलेगी, कब हेलो बोलेगी. Has to happen now. Uh, so I was one of those girls who loved her books. I would just sit in a corner. I could sit and read and read and read and read and read. We were 4 children in our house. We lived in a joint family in Delhi. We moved away after 10 years, but my memories of that time are mostly everybody talking at the same time and me crying. And my mother worrying, why is my child always crying? Why is my child not like others? Why is my child not speaking? Why is my child not writing notes? And I remember even in third standard, I used to tell my mother, like when I used to get scolded at home, क्यों नहीं लिखा डायरी, notes क्यों नहीं complete किए आज? And I used to say, मुझे पता है, like in my head I used to think, I couldn't articulate it then, but in my head I used to think, मुझे पता है कि notes लिखना है, but by the time I look at the board and I look at the notebook and I figure out that I have to take out my pen and I have to hold it in this way, teacher ने तो रब ही कर दिया board. So my mother used to put me to sleep afternoon में and run to friend's house. नोट्स अपने मेरे कॉपी करके आती थी. छोटी क्लासेस में हाँ मुझे ऐसे कि हाँ थोड़ी स्लो है ये, तो इसको ज्यादा टाइम दे देते हैं काम कंप्लीट करने के लिए, वर्कशीट कंप्लीट करने के लिए, वगैरह वगैरह तो होता था. बट इवन टुडे आई कैन नॉट डू रनिंग नोट्स. आई थैंक गुडनेस and autistic people for and the disabled community for not really autistic, just the disabled community for coming up with the idea of transcripts. ताकि मीटिंग नोट्स बन जाते हैं, and for China for the pandemic, क्योंकि all meetings happen now online. MOM नहीं लिखना पड़ता है यार, ट्रांसक्रिप्ट में काम चल जाता है.
बिल्कुल. तो मैं पूछ सकती हूँ कि उस वक्त आप बोल सकते थे, एक्सप्रेस कर सकते थे जब आप छोटे थे तब?
So this is what my parents, I mean, everybody, my parents, like we used to stay in a joint family, right? So all of them used to tease me कि स्कूल में तो बिल्कुल अपना मुंह नहीं खोलती है, यहाँ पे तो आके ऐसे आर्ग्यू करती है घर पे कि जैसे कोई नेल्सन मंडेला हो. तो इसको तो रेवोल्यूशनरी बनना है. And all my report cards would say needs to communicate more.
Right.
And my parents would be like, communicate more? नहीं, बस communication start हो इसको कि कम करना है, ज्यादा कम करना है.
और ये कई बार होता है ना बच्चों के साथ, आई थिंक कि घर पे नॉन स्टॉप उनका चलता रहता है और आई थिंक स्कूल में बिल्कुल मुंह बंद.
Yeah. Because I couldn't figure out at school why children are getting up. Like once the teacher has left the class, why are they all getting up? Why are they now, all huddled in one corner of the room? Why are they taking out their snack boxes? This is not the lunch time. This is not the snack time.
Right.
And by the time I could figure out all that, उसी में time चला जाता था. Like, so, like I wouldn't even be expressing or talking much. Even in the break time, So when we moved from Delhi, we moved to a place called Udupi in Karnataka for 2 years. We were there, and wahan pe my report cards that I read now, they say does not speak to anybody who does not speak in Hindi. And I feel like writing uske niche does not know anybody who does not
Right.
speak in Hindi.
Right. So what was that like for you? वहाँ पे move करना?
It was much calmer. I remember my mother becoming much calmer because I had stopped crying. But I know now why I stopped crying is because there were no people talking at the same time. It was just the four of us, mostly silent home. It's a very small little silent town, not many people. The maximum you hear is some animal ka sound, loudly, that is. उस टाइम पे तो vehicles भी नहीं होते थे ज्यादा. So I remember being more out of the house at that time. Like I would go walking, I would go cycling. Yeah.
तो जो unnecessary chatter था वो बंद हो गया था. जो sensory stimulation
It's
था.
not. Yeah, the sensory stimulation बंद हो गया था. I don't know if it is unnecessary chatter. I mean, बाकी लोग तो बोलेंगे हमारे लिए unnecessary नहीं है. But what I realize now at 33 is कि more than 2 sources of sound at the same time, I can't take. It feels like 1,000 cars on a highway coming and hitting at the same time. So I get very anxious. I mean, I don't blame my brain. Of course, it will get scared. 1,000 cars coming and hitting me.
True, बिल्कुल. I can imagine. तो आप वहाँ पे कितना time रहे उडुपी में?
Udupi में 2 years, and
Okay.
then we moved to Bangalore. And in Bangalore, it became very social because most of my family lives in Bangalore. So I came into puberty, and my mother was worried. You know, girls of this age are calling up friends, going out with friends. मेरी बच्ची को कोई फोन ही नहीं करता है. ये भी किसी को नहीं फोन करती है. फोन पे तो बात करो. Other mothers are complaining to me कि फोन पे हर वक्त बात करता रहता है. मेरी बच्ची को फोन एक बार तो उठा के बात करो. क्या बात क्या करना है? And then we started, okay, how do you talk on the phone? Hello, how are you? May I know who's speaking? And stuff like that. And then stand in front of the mirror and smile. No, not so much. Smile a little less. And say hello with your eyebrows raised. And say, hello, auntie. How are you, auntie? Khana kha liya, auntie? So we started all that. And my mother would take me out. She realized by then I was too stubborn to listen to her. So she would trick me. She would say, you know, I just want to go for a walk. I'm feeling very lonely. I said, ठीक है जाओ ना. मुझसे क्यों बोल रहे हो? So she would be like, no, I want to go with you, you know. I'm like, oh, अच्छा मेरे साथ क्यों? I just want to spend time with my child, you know, like just you and me for a walk. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. And we would go for a walk, and then वहाँ पे कोई बच्चे खेल रहे होते हैं, and she'd be like, hi everybody, this is my daughter Rakshita, will you play with her? And she would push me, घर आएगी ना, books ले लूंगी मैं तेरी वापस. So my punishment used to be my books will be taken away from me. And yeah, on one hand I hated it, but then yeah, that's how I learned social skills.
तो अभी तो आप हंस रहे हैं और मुझे भी हंसा रहे हैं, पर उस वक्त आपके लिए
Yeah, but remember we are not supposed to have humor.
Yes,
because
of course.
autistic people can't have humor.
True,
Yeah,
very true, which I
so.
think is something which was disproved a long time ago. But so उस वक्त कैसे लगा आपको, यानी जब आपको आपने कहा कि यस मेरी माँ मुझे पुश कर रही थी, एंड एज अ पेरेंट आई थिंक मैं उनकी भी पर्सपेक्टिव समझ सकती हूँ कि क्यों नहीं हो रहा है सोशलाइजेशन, पर ऑल्सो यू आर सेइंग कि ऐसे अपने सोशल स्किल्स सीखे, तो कैसे लगा आपको उस वक्त, कैसे लगता था?
Okay, so two things which I have realized only of late, I should say. One is that if I could go back in time and express myself and say, there is absolutely nothing wrong if I don't want friends who are not like me. And if I had been stubborn on that point, instead of being a scared teenager who is always doubting herself and who thinks that she's some alien from out of world who's been just abandoned in this world, I would have done that. The second, it led to a lot of mental trauma that were very micro size. Like each instance was micro size. Like every time I had to go into that group and I don't know what on earth they're doing, why on earth they're doing. They are not interested in what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in, they're interested in. And I'm just standing on the periphery copying what they're doing. And of course they're going to realize I'm weird, right. I'm odd, and they're bullying me. They're, laughing about me. They're all having lunch on their own and not, or whatever, food or snacks on their own and not sharing it with me. And I'm like, क्यों नहीं share करने मेरे साथ? ठीक है, maybe, they don't want to share. I mean, what's wrong in not sharing, right? Let it go. Why are they laughing? It's their right to laugh, Rakshita. Why are you so bothered about them laughing? Be happy if somebody laughs. Instead of understanding that this is wrong. What's happening to me is wrong. And I need to ask for help. And there's nothing wrong with me. It's okay to be who I am. What I really need to figure out is, of course, how to talk to them, how to be civil with them. But you know what? They also need to figure out how to be civil with me. They need to figure out how to have social skills with me. Like, how on earth is bullying an okay social skill? How on earth is laughing at somebody who's different an okay social skill? Why is that so okay that so many children are doing it and nobody's stopping them? But if I don't want to interact with them, that becomes like a big mountain is going to fall down sort of an event. So I deserve friends. I wish I knew this back then, that I deserve friends who genuinely like me, who genuinely want me in their life, because I contribute to their life as much as they contribute to my life. Like, that's why we want our children to be social, right? That's why we want our children to have friends, right?
Right.
Because we want them to learn from their friend. We want them to like have an enriched life from their friend. But we forget that by pushing autistic children into this whole social skills training, social group, if you force them into the social group, they will learn, sort of a thing. We are forgetting that it's a very one-sided relationship and it's not going to work.
Very true. Very, very true. Absolutely.
And in any case, how do people bond with each other? Over yoga, over like, you're a mother, I'm a mother. Hey, let's chat in the park. What is your child doing nowadays? Or, stuff like that. Like things that are common to each other, right? Why shouldn't that be the case with autistic people? Just because 90% of the world does not have anything common with the autistic child, that cannot be a reason.
Very true. Very, very true. And I think जो आपने कहा कि I deserve friends who are like me, or मैं who want to be with me. और I think एक और चीज जो आपने कही, which is very important, कि if I have to change या I have to make an effort कि जो ग्रुप आपके जिस ग्रुप में आप थे, आप उनकी कॉपी करते थे, आप उनकी नकल करते थे, उन्हें इमिटेट करते थे. So why can't people do the same? And you're absolutely right that bullying is not an appropriate social response. I think that is so beautifully put. And why should that be accepted when you not wanting to hang out with them या उनके साथ social नहीं होना is not accepted. Very, very, very important point. Very important. Yeah. So I want to ask when did you kind of come to accept who you were? क्योंकि ये सब आपको अभी तक जो आपने बताया, I think it's more कि you were trying to figure out what is going on. You knew कि you were not like those kids. वो सब एक चीज करते थे और वो आपको समझ में नहीं आता था कि why are they not sitting with you for lunch, कि why are they not including you in whatever, या क्यों आपका मजाक उड़ा रहे हैं. So when did you figure out and accept कि this is who I am and I am okay with it?
Okay, so this is a interesting question or a difficult question to answer, because I think it's a difficult question to answer, but not a difficult question to answer, a complicated question to answer. No, the answer is complicated. It's not straightforward. Like at 23, I started accepting myself, or there was one day when I saw the light in the sky, and then God told me, you must accept yourself. And then I did. I had a dream one night, and when I woke up, I began accepting myself.
So I like asking complicated questions.
Because what I started realizing of late is that as children, young children, we accept ourselves pretty much. You asked a question at the beginning, when do we realize we're different? Probably at the age of 3. And after that, it's like, yeah, I'm like this only. Now what? You don't like me? Close your eyes and go. You don't like the way I'm standing and walking? Turn that way. But as I started socializing more, and I started realizing that it's, not acceptable to socialize. Not to socialize, sorry. It's not acceptable to be a loner, which is around teenage, 13, 14. There was a drastic change in me. I was still at school. I was still the goody two shoes. But at home, I was extremely violent and aggressive every single day. I used to hit, I used to throw things. I've run away from home many times. I used to lock myself in the room for hours and hours and days together sometimes. I would write detailed plans about how to commit suicide. And I don't think, I think it reached its peak in 11th standard. So from say 9th, beginning of 9th to beginning of 12th, it was that way for 4 years. And then in 12th, I found a group of people who genuinely liked me. Unfortunately, they were all boys. So there was that issue with the society. कि हाय लड़कों के साथ हर वक्त and that calmed me down somewhat. I think my mother was the happiest. Finally, she has friends. I don't care whether they are boys. Finally, there are people she hangs out with. She would be like, आओ बेटा आओ घर आओ क्या चाहिए तुम्हें गोलगप्पा चाहिए खाओ. Call your parents also. I'll also come to your house tomorrow. So, so it calmed down a little bit. Then it again went for a toss a few years later. Came back again. So, but this confidence that you're seeing right now, that you're hearing about, actually came after an autism diagnosis. Not a formal diagnosis, but a self-diagnosis. So first I diagnosed myself. And initially when I diagnosed myself, it was still like from all the books, because I'm an educator. And I was like, I can't be like those children. I mean, I'm not that mental, you know. I mean, yeah, I'm mental, but not that mental. Yeah, come on. And then when I started reading literature written by autistic people, I was like, hey, macha, hey, same things, ra. Hey, me also, like that totally I felt. Hey, chal, dono high five मारते चल. And then huggy करके रोते चल. मेरा भी life गया, तेरा भी life गया. So that's when I started feeling like, you know, to hell with all that. I deserve to be who I am. There's nothing wrong with me. If there can be 50,000 types of ants, that's an exaggeration. I don't know how many types of ants there are. But if there can be so many types of ants, why can't there be so many types of human beings? I mean,
that is so true. I think Rakshita, you
attention देते हैं.
Yeah.
और another thing, दो तरह के लोग होते हैं. एक जो रेस्पॉन्सिबल होते हैं, एक और जो इररेस्पॉन्सिबल होते हैं। देखो बेटा, दो तरह के लोग होते हैं, एक जो लाइफ में फन करते हैं, एक जो डिप्रेस्ड होते हैं। देखो बेटा, there are only two types of people in this world. And I feel like, how many times am I going to say two types, two types, two types? Why can't they just make peace with the fact there are infinite types of people? And stop living in these binaries, black and white. And we are accused of being black and white minded.
True, true.
हिपोक्रेसी की भी सीमा होती है।
Very true. बिल्कुल, absolutely. और it's very interesting कि जो आप कहते हैं, you know, कि that realization कि या जो आपने कहा कि acceptance, जो confidence आपके diagnosis के बाद जो आया, और ये मैंने बहुत लोगों से सुना है, and it's almost that कि जब आपका डायग्नोसिस होता है, सेल्फ डायग्नोसिस हो या भले जो भी हो, it's almost to say yes, this is who I am and there are others like me, and it's not कि कुछ, it's not that there's anything wrong with me, but this is what it is, because जो दुनिया है वो कहती है कि there is something wrong with you, which is actually so wrong to say that, right?
So, one of the good things that came with the diagnosis is also an understanding of the limitations of my body. Like, I didn't know for the longest time why I would cry when there are people around me, or why I wouldn't want to come out of the room if some guests have come home. It was mostly because of sound. And when people have gathered together, everybody's talking at the same time. Or for example, why I would not play sports. Why I can't do, like, everybody says jogging is good for health, and I can't jog. I hate it. And I've tried many times, and I don't know why I can't jog. I didn't know why I can't jog. Now I know, because I'm too sensitive to vestibular input. So it offsets my body balance, and my body feels like it's falling down. That's why I can't jog, I can't run, I can't play sports, I can't dance because of proprioceptive issues. I cannot write with a thin pen, 5 rupees ka pen. My pen has to be so thick because when I write with a regular Reynolds pen or something, my hand aches so much, aches so much, aches so much. I can't do running notes because I can only take one input, sensory input at a time. So in a meeting or in a classroom, 1 minute, should I understand what you're saying or should I write down what you're saying? I can't do both. So, because when you're talking to me, shouldn't I, like, my logic is, shouldn't I understand what you're saying so that I can participate in the class? Shouldn't I understand what you're saying in a meeting so that I can participate in the meeting? But if I start writing, then I have to also think about organizing my writing. I have to think about, like, how big to write, how small to write, how to keep my hand, how to keep the book. All these are conscious thoughts, because of which, like, it takes extra intellectual effort. So I can't listen, understand, and do all these things together. I can listen and understand, and that's it. Similarly, I have very, very, very poor visual comprehension. And to give you an idea of how screwed up our education system is, I did mechanical engineering with such poor visual comprehension. And I passed my drawing exams by by-hearting the drawings. Beat that for an education. So I would cry and cry and cry. Biology में, school में, क्यों नहीं समझ आ रहा है when somebody is saying, you know, it's so simple, Rakshita, the digestive system is so simple. There's your mouth, there's your lungs. I'm like, wait a minute. Mouth तो पता चल रहा है मुझे, उसके बाद कुछ नहीं समझ आ रहा है मुझे. And even if I see diagrams, I can't understand the diagrams. I can't, like, I need to be able to touch it, not see it. So these are things, social ka to pucho hi mat. Like, half the times it's my, so I try to tell everybody that I meet, please forget my tone. It's like how he tries to adapt to this, because and I know neurotypicals are hardwired to look at tone, to listen to tone, and to look at body language, and our tone and our body language is not matching the norms. So my husband has this way, he says he imagines me writing an email so that, and like when I'm talking, he imagines that he's reading it in an email. So now I've started telling people, please imagine me writing an email to you and you're reading that email.
That's a very unique way of doing that.
Even then, people get pissed off. I've been pulled up because, you know, in office, okay, mostly office, school, college, and all was chill. I think they didn't bother. In college, I think they just thought I was too arrogant. But then, college mein sare teachers think all children are arrogant. So that's okay. Chalta hai. But my in my school, though, my mother was there to come and tell, you know, okay, you know, she's slow, whatever, dhyan rakh lo types. And she made sure that we went to schools which are small, where there are motherly teachers. That's what she calls them. So that way, school was also like with teachers and all, it was okay, chill. So authority का उतना issue नहीं था. But when I came, so you're keeping your bag on the floor. Children will learn bad things from you. You are not looking straight at the parent when you're talking to them. When you're walking in the corridor, you're not saying hi to other colleagues. Your handwriting is not legible. And I was a good teacher. I have appraisals to show it and prove it. But good work is never enough. That's what I realized. No, not never enough. It was not enough at that point. It can be made enough. if people just let other people be and stop attaching so much value to social status and reputation.
तो रक्षिता, आपने अपने हस्बैंड के बारे में बात किया कि how he says that you know, when you're talking it's like he imagines you're writing an email. So tell me about your relationship with him.
He is one of the most supportive people in my life. Like, he'll misinterpret what I'm saying. He'll get angry at me because my tone was bad, and then come and say sorry to me and say, you know what, it's just my brain versus your brain. I'm sorry. So I was like, yeah, that's okay. Kya kare abhi? And he's also my interpreter for my mother. So, like, when my mother worries too much about me,
Right.
he'll calm her down. Yeah. And like recently, this happened. So yeah, recently this happened. That's all. The rest is actually quite personal. I don't think the other people will want me to say anything
Not
about
at all.
it.
That's fine. So you have a child, right? A son, daughter?
Yeah. I have a 3-year-old son.
You have a 3-year-old son. What has motherhood been like?
Okay. So motherhood was the one that pushed me to an autism diagnosis. So my pregnancy was very difficult. But then guess what? I could manage the pain until I was 10 centimeter dilated. And then I was like, bhai, abhi mujhe painkiller chahiye. And they were like, kya? The crown already dikh raha hai. Ab nahi de sakte kuch bhi tujhe. And then all my, like, whoever knew me, they were like, what? Without an epidural? I was like, yeah. Superpowers. So this has been a feature in my life that even at a very young age, I would keep, like, every day I would come back with injuries. I would wake up with injuries, major injuries, minor injuries. I would keep banging, like I would walk on the road and I'll go bang my head on a pillar. And my mother would be like, इसका हाथ पकड़ के अगर नहीं चले ना कोई, पता नहीं कहाँ जाके गिर जाएगी ये. Which also happened to me once, which I've not told my parents. That I fell into a very, very deep ditch. Because मैं कहीं पे देख के चल रही थी. Or whatever, I don't know. It's supposed to be proprioceptive issue, but I don't know how that works.
True.
And I could tolerate pain. Like, I would never cry for any of that. And I didn't know why, right?
Right.
And so after the baby's birth, I was in like a super elated mood. I wanted to do everything for my child. I would keep a diary with tables of what I'm eating so that I track what nutrition is going into my child. In true autistic style, I was reading up on everything to do with pregnancy and every damn thing to do with motherhood. And I had come to a point, okay, just to be sure, I had come to a point where my mother would ask me for breastfeeding advice for her friends' children. Okay,
You've become an expert on the topic.
I was like, yay, for this I should receive an award. My mother is asking me for advice for her friends' children. Like all the time is like, I have to ask my friends what to do about my child. And now look where we are.
Come full circle.
So 4 months down, one day I woke up and I was like, I'm not getting out of bed. I don't want this baby. I don't want this life. I should just die. And of course, everybody was worried. And everybody was like, you can't just give birth to a baby and say, you don't want the baby. And that's when I started like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why, like till yesterday, I was enjoying this so much. Why am I not enjoying it anymore? What is this? And that's when I started going back to my books, reading up. I knew it is not postpartum depression because this is not postpartum, this is the 4th month of the baby's life. It had to be something else. And I chanced upon autistic shutdown or burnout, as we call it. That was the first autistic literature that I read. And I mean, of course, I before I read this, I had chanced upon, I started doubting autism. I took many screening tests. They all said positive. Now positive is positive, not like, it doesn't give you a positive negative test result like COVID, but like figure of speech positive. But I think I don't need to explain that, right? Most people will understand that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So currently your son is 3.
Yeah.
And how are you with him? What is motherhood like? What do you feel?
I think he's the smartest kid I've met. Like yesterday, he was playing with his construction toys outside the house, and then he came in and he closed the door, and I asked him what happened. He says, too much winding. Like, so what is winding? It's like, clouds will go like that. I said, oh, and what will happen if the clouds go like that? It will take Agastya up, 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 up. And then the other day he was doing some other experiment. Like he keeps doing these experiments. Yesterday, in the night before sleeping, we were listening to a song, and he figured out Doppler effect. So he keeps the phone far away from him, and then he keeps the phone nearby him. He says, Mimi, listen. I said, what should I listen? He says, far, no sound. Close, near, many sounds.
Right. Right. Little scientist in the making.
Yeah. So like this, he has yeah, he's very smart. The only thing I hate is when he screams. That's why I bought these.
So that it doesn't bother you.
Yeah, because when he gets excited, he's like, and so at that time I just go, andhera kayam rahe.
That's interesting, and I like the way you found a way to cope with it. Rakshita, thank you. This has really been good. I want you to tell me one more last thing that I want to ask. कि काफी जो लोग ये चैट जो सुनते हैं वो पेरेंट्स हैं, and for them their children's brain, their children's mind, that what is going on is a mystery. और आज जब आपने बताया है कि this is how I used to feel when there were guests around, I used to cry, and you know, why should I didn't fit in with other kids, things like that. For me also, it's been a real eye opener in a sense. What are 3 things that you want parents to know?
Parents to know? What did you ask? Parents to?
Parents to know. Parents of children who are autistic, parents of children who are on the spectrum, उनको कौन सी 3 चीजें हैं that you would like them to know?
Okay. First, I think the key. No, I think first accept the child as they are. This is easier said than done. But I think the key to that acceptance is also acknowledging that either one of the parents or somebody close in the family is also autistic. And you've been okay with it. I mean, they've coped. And the moment the parent starts making peace with that person, like it can be a brother, it can be the father of the child, it can be the mother of the child, whatever. Once you start making peace with that human being, you'll start making peace with your own self, and then you'll start making peace with your child and really see your child for who they are. That is number 1. Number 2, ask the child. It's not true. So it's like, sure, social skills are very important. As a parent, you think, you know, I'll be doing a very bad job if I'm not teaching my child social skills. I'm a bad parent if I don't teach my child social skills. Fine. On the other hand, your child is getting traumatized. Wait. What are your priorities? That trauma will not be seen, like it will not be visible like how they show in movies. That trauma might look like the child not doing things that they used to do very well before. That trauma might look like, you know, what we call regression, right? In like autistic children, regression. Yeah, that trauma might look like regression. That trauma might look like violence or aggression. That trauma might look like a complete withdrawal. Or that trauma might look like excessive amount of time spent on special interests. Because the world outside that special interest is too traumatizing. It's too unsafe. And you have to make peace with yourself at that point and weigh your priorities. Let the child lead you. To hell with the society that is going to judge you. You know, they don't come in the night when your child is not asleep. For the last 1 week, your child's not sleeping. None of those people who judge you are going to come with you and stay up with you and help you cope. Or they are not going to take the child for a break when you really need a break. Third is work on the child's strengths. Because they do have them. Many a times I hear this statement, my child is not like you, you know. My child is, you are mild autism. My child, severe autism. I used to be that child when I was a child. Your child is going to probably grow up to be me. Why? I was lucky because there were no special schools in my time. I was lucky because there was no therapy in my time. If there was therapy, I would have probably gone to therapy the whole day and never gone to a regular school. Never had a chance, an open door to college and an open door to job. Because I would have been branded as too low functioning at the age of 3 and then never given a chance. That's all. 3 हो गया ना?
3 हो गया और बहुत अच्छी तरह से हो गया. आई होप कि जो भी पेरेंट्स ये सुन रहे हैं वो रियली इस पर ध्यान दें, because I think what you have said is so important. It is absolutely vital for parents to know and to act upon. So thank you very, very much for your honesty, your time, and for sharing so much of your life. Thank you.
Okay, bye.